tonight. The Drug Law Enforcement Agency chairman, Buba Marwa, warns against legalizing cannabis. Nigeria is the world's highest consumer, he says. The Civil Defense Corps expresses concern over the spate of attacks on the nation's assets, says schools and transport infrastructure among the worst hit. Appeal Court names Valentine Ozigbo as the validly elected governorship candidate of the PDP in Anambra State. And hundreds killed as the Taliban pushes to capture Panjshir Valley, the last Afghan holdout valley. Plus, international news from our London studios.
On Business News tonight, Corporate Affairs Commission partners Code of Conduct Bureau to allow database access for probing fraudulent companies.
On Sports News tonight, Kelechi Iheanacho scores a brace as Super Eagles open their World Cup qualifier campaign on a winning note, beating Liberia at home.
And from Abuja, African Development Bank to mobilize $520 million to support establishment of special agro-industrial processing zones in Nigeria.
The chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, General Buba Marwa, has been given account of his stewardship since assuming office in January this year. Addressing journalists after meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari at the State House, General Marwa maintains that Nigeria is the highest consumer of cannabis in the world. He adds that since January 2021, drugs worth over 100 billion naira have been seized and about 1,630 criminals arrested by the agency. Our State House correspondent, Gloria Mizuki, reports.
This is about the second visit of the chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency to the president after the official launch of the war against drug abuse in June 2021. Since the NDLEA boss assumed office in January 2021, the agency appears to have significantly clipped the wings of drug barons, revealing 10.6 million cannabis users in the country. The implications are profound, and so, according to him, no lawmaker should ever support legalizing cannabis.
I don't see how the National Assembly will pass the act, because I know 90% or more of the honorable and distinguished members of the National Assembly know the implications of this legalization, and they dare not go back to their constituencies if anyone signs legalization.
Ramping up the fight, drugs worth over 100 billion naira have been seized and 1,630 criminals jailed.
Considering the hazardous nature of the work that we do, the danger in it, we arrest and jail the criminals and then live among them. This is an area that I found His Excellency Mr. President was very well seized of. Therefore, we expect barracks in all the locations that we are serving. So throughout the country, but the budgetary provisions is something that I will not comment on at this point.
Another kind of war, this time on insurgency, has led to yet another trip to the State House by the governor of Borno State, Babagana Zulum. The chairman, Senate Committee on Army, Senator Ali Ndume, who also met with the president on the issue of insecurity, dismissed any attempt to outrightly forgive the surrendered bandits without proper investigation. The lawmaker insists on applying the carrot and stick approach in the war against insurgency.
While we are prosecuting the war rigorously in order to bring it to an end, a window is there available to tell those that are willing to surrender that you can surrender, and then you'll be processed accordingly.
Conversely, those found innocent among the bandits should be given the right to approach the courts, and possible moles within the surrendered bandits will be fished out.
Now, we understand that over 5,000 bandits have surrendered currently to the army, and that list continues to grow, given by what we understand that more bandits have surrendered across states. But there are questions as to whether or not there are strategies in place by the federal and state governments to profile them and subsequently prosecute. These are questions considered germane to sustaining the war against insurgency. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has raised alarm over increasing threats on the nation's assets and critical infrastructure, including oil pipelines, schools, and transportation facilities. Speaking ahead of a security summit in Abuja, the Assistant Commandant General in charge of critical national assets and infrastructure, Mr. Benito Aze, says oil pipelines, schools, and transportation infrastructure top the list of infrastructure that are seriously threatened by criminals. According to him, over 85% of schools in Nigeria are also under serious threat of attacks.
Nigeria's access to electricity, transportation networks, drinking water, oil pipelines, telecommunications, and many other critical infrastructure services are increasingly at risk of violent criminal attacks and terrorism. These threats can have devastating consequences and could threaten the national economy and entire communities. I will tell you that the oil pipeline, threat on the oil pipeline is the highest. It is recently that we are having that from the transportation industry. Over 85% of our schools are vulnerable to threat. It is also part of the reason why we are bringing the stakeholders together so that from various sectors, both private and public, we will be able to bring our ideas together, pool our resources together to handle those emergency response systems, and also be able to put in place strategies to prevent occurrence.
Staying with security, but in other developments, Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule has led a delegation to Plateau State to commiserate with his counterpart, Governor Simon Lalong, over security skirmishes bedeviling the state recently. The governor went in company of traditional rulers, religious leaders of the Christian Association of Nigeria, and that of the Jama'atul Nasrul Islam, and some government functionaries. In their remarks, both leaders blame politicians and elites for fueling crisis as they emphasize the importance of peace.
Plateau State has been in the news recently over security breaches that led to the killing of over 50 people. The first incident was on August 25th, where 22 travelers were gruesomely murdered in Rokoba Road in Jos. They were coming from Bauchi and heading to Ondo State before the unfortunate incident. Shortly after that incident, another 26 people were killed in Yelwan Zangam village by bandits. Several visitors, including governors, have identified with the Plateau State Governor Simon Lalong over the incident, and the latest visitor is the Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule.
His Excellency,
in his entourage are traditional rulers, religious leaders of the Christian Association of Nigeria and that of the Jama'atul Nasrul Islam, and some government functionaries. The governor blames the security breaches on politicians whom he believes are the ones fueling the crisis.
it is very important for us to understand that unless there is peace, there won't be any other thing going on. You look at the farms left and right, everywhere from Ganauri to Riom, everything is standing, not the same Ganauri we had before you came on board. And so when God has done all this to us, we cannot afford in any way whatsoever to go and hurt ourselves. So I think we need to sit down together, understand each other, and even understand our religion. Because if we don't understand our religion, we mislead other people. These are problems being caused by politicians. We cannot allow politicians to cause problems for us. We cannot allow the so-called elite to cause problems for us. For us in the plateau, we live in peace with one another, and we must continue to do that.
A similar view is held by the Plateau State Governor, as he advises politicians, traditional rulers, to work with governors to ensure that the states are peaceful.
The most dangerous species is the politician. It's the politician. Because it is politician that is looking for where to ignite crisis. He will tell you that we are not doing well because this person hates you. We know ourselves. And these are some of the things we are seeing. You see a community fighting, they don't know why they are fighting. At the end of the day, the moment one person is killed, another is killed, it will take a religious dimension. It will take an ethnic dimension. But the real cause of the fight is different. This is what we are trying to address.
No doubt it's been a challenging period for Governor of Plateau State, who had to declare curfew twice in 1 month, in some of the local government areas considered as red flag areas. Now that the situation is calm and the curfew lifted, there's a need for the state to put the needed measures in place to bring about sustained peace in Plateau State.
The Nigerian Police Force says it is collaborating with the Federal Ministry of Justice to ensure that criminals are punished to serve as a deterrent to others terrorizing innocent citizens in the country. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, disclosed this on Thursday when he paid homage to the Katsina State Governor, Aminu Masari, at the council chambers of the State Government House, Katsina.
A working visit by the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, to Katsina State. He pays homage to the State Governor, Aminu Masari, at the council chambers of the Government House. The purpose of his visit is to change the security narrative in the state and assess the security realities on ground. He announces the force will soon begin the recruitment of police officers that will be redeployed to fight crime.
I want to assure His Excellency that very soon we are going to also start our recruitment process, which has been stalled for some time. We are ready to proceed, and with the community policing and the strengths and the recruitment which we are going to do, we hope the strengths of the Nigerian police will be enlarged, and therefore we are also appealing to indigents that we want to recruit from every local government.
On his part, the state governor, Aminu Masari, insists that people must be encouraged to devise means of defending themselves against bandits' attack, as the Nigerian police does not have adequate personnel to protect them.
We will continue to press on the political leadership at all levels to do more for security agencies, especially the police that are more involved in doing civil security operations.
The IGP's visit comes at a time when there are a series of killings and destruction happening in several parts of the country. However, the police boss says he will be meeting other arms of security services to see how best the security situation in the country can be tackled.
When the News at 10 returns, Abuja Appeal Court declares Valentine Ozigbo the validly elected governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the November 6th governorship election in Anambra State. Join us again. Welcome back. If it has joined us to watch the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. The Drug Law Enforcement Agency chairman, Buba Marwa, warns against legalizing cannabis. Nigeria is the world's highest consumer, he says. The Civil Defense Corps expresses concern over the spate of attacks on the nation's assets, says schools and transport infrastructure among the worst hit. Appeal Court names Valentine Ozigbo as the validly elected governorship candidate of the PDP in Anambra State. And hundreds are killed as the Taliban pushes to capture Panjshir Valley, the last Afghan holdout valley. Lekki, the fast-developing upper-middle-class area of Lagos State, is emerging as the new hub of internet-related fraud. This is according to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, which says the advanced fee fraud and cybercrime sections of the command recorded a total of 402 internet-related fraud arrests in the last 3 months. Data from the investigation activities of the Lagos Command of the EFCC for the second quarter of 2021 indicates that the Lekki district is the preferred location for all manner of cyber fraud syndicates. The statement signed by the spokesman of the EFCC, Mr. Wilson Wujaring, also reveals that the agency also carried out 18 sting operations, which resulted in 159 arrests, of which 13 convictions have been recorded so far. Of the 159 suspects arrested by the Cybercrime Section, 70 are from Lekki, comprising communities such as Ajah, Badore, Victoria Garden City, Shongotedo, and Oniru. 2 more aides of the Yoruba Nation agitator, Mr. Sunday Adeyemo, also known as Sunday Igboho, have been allowed to go home by the Department of State Services. They are Tajuddin Irinloye and Uthman Okoyemi Adelabu. But counsel to the accused persons, Belumi Olajewesi, is not satisfied with the approach of the DSS in relation to its response to court judgments. The court had ordered the release of the aides, but they were detained by the DSS over what it called technical issues relating to perfection of bail terms. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has declared Valentine Ozigbo as the validly elected governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party for the Anambra governorship election, slated for November 6, 2021. A 3-man panel led by the President of the Court of Appeal, Honorable Justice Monica Dongban Mensem, held the appeal filed by Valentine Ozigbo, challenging the judgment of the Awka High Court, which barred him from parading himself as the PDP candidate in the coming election, had merit and was therefore allowed.
The battle for the candidacy of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, for the November 6th Anambra governorship election takes another turn as the candidates approach the Court of Appeal to determine who's the validly elected candidate of the party. Leading a 3-man panel, the President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Monica Dongban Mensem, set aside the July 19, 2021 judgment by Justice Obiora Nwambunike of the Anambra State High Court and recognized the governorship primary that produced Mr. Valentine Ozigbo, citing abuse of court processes. While berating Justice Nwambunike, the appellate court also declared as an aberration the parallel primary held in Awka, which produced Senator Ugochukwu Ubah. Members of the panel took turns to take swipes at lawyers who enable litigants to abuse court processes, adding that the relevant bodies must take decisive decisions against such lawyers. The appellate court also advised INEC to wait for the decision of the final court before publishing names of candidates.
I just reaffirmed that Mr. Valentine Ozigbo is the duly elected candidate of the PDP. The court also proceeded to mandate Independent National Electoral Commission to immediately list his name as the duly nominated candidate of the PDP. The court actually made some very remarkable pronouncements, and that has to do with the recent forum shopping by lawyers and litigants The court deprecated lawyers and litigants who go about looking for courts that will give them cheap judgments. The president of the court did not mince words in condemning such acts. So it is a landmark judgment. It is victory for PDP, it is victory for the people of Anambra State, and it is victory for judiciary.
For me, mine is very simple. It's to sincerely thank the President of Court of Appeal and her team for restoring order and civility within the polity, so that our party, the People's Democratic Party, and her rightful candidate, Mr. Valentine Ozigbo, can move on with his electoral campaign of selling himself to the voters based on issues. Politics should be practiced by going around campaigning to the voters, telling them what you do when you are in office, in a documented and in a manner that they will believe you, and at the end, receive the rightful votes.
Counsel to Senator Ubah was not available for reaction to the judgment. However, the former federal lawmaker has a window of 14 days to appeal the judgment since the election is about 2 months away.
More on electoral processes now as the 2023 general elections draw near. Players at different levels of the political spectrum are putting their acts together in order to make considerable progress and take the mantle of leadership. The All Progressives Congress Ebonyi State chapter joins the race as it holds its Delegates Congress for the 171 wards and the 13 local government areas of the state held at the Ecumenical Center in Abakaliki, the state capital. Governor David Umahi, who presided over the event, assures party members and faithful of a level playing field.
The Ebonyi All Progressives Congress stakeholders meeting is coming less than 20 hours to the local government congress of the APC in Ebonyi State, which has a robust turn-up by members of the party from the state as well as the national delegate.
APC!
Presiding over the meeting, Governor David Umahi assures the party faithful of a credible process that will guarantee free and fair local government congress and warn those planning to subvert the event of dire consequences.
It's an appeal, it's not compulsory. It's an appeal that they have done very well and that they will continue to do well. They didn't give us trouble. They have been very much in support of this transparent process. And so if they've done well, I'm sure they will continue to do well. We are looking for people that will not take bribe. We are looking for people that will not allow those who have not been part of this process to jump into the system and begin to drag positions with you. And I can assure you that if you elect them together with others that will be on board, that we will have the most peaceful APC state in Nigeria.
Igbo Monica Okore, as official.
Before swearing in the ward executives, names of candidates are called out so that members of the party affirm their candidature prior to confirmation. While swearing in the ward executives, the Ebonyi State APC caretaker chairman expresses confidence of a transparent and peaceful local government congress in Ebonyi State and informed those present that the APC in the state is becoming formidable with each passing day.
It is now your duty to sacrifice whatever you know you can sacrifice to make sure that, yes, we get others that are still sitting at home. If we discover that, yes, you are being inaugurated, it is no longer to be doing what the party instructs that you do. We will be left with no option other than to let you know that this is a disciplined party, and then we'll discipline you accordingly.
The newly inaugurated executives pledged unflinching loyalty to the party's constitution and guidelines as the party looks forward to greater days ahead.
In a related development, the ruling All Progressives Congress says its local government Congress election, scheduled for tomorrow, September 4th, 2021, will go on as planned across the states of the Federation. The exercise is to elect the leadership of the party at the local government level and those who eventually become delegates to regional and national congresses and convention. The party is holding the second layer of the congresses after it ratified the Ward Congress appeal reports across the country. Governor Buni-led caretaker committee of the party says the court orders from Delta and Akwa Ibom will not stop the process as it does not affect the conduct of the exercise. Governor Maimala Buni has asked members of the party to abide by the rules governing the election, promising that the party will address all anomalies emanating from the processes. Still ahead on the news at 10, African Development Bank to support establishment of special agro-industrial processing zones in Nigeria with $520 million. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news at 10. Ogun State, southwest Nigeria is having its fair share of the crisis rocking the All Progressives Congress Party as the chapter today inaugurated chairmen into the 236 wards across the 20 local government areas of the state. Both events took place in Abeokuta today, but first, the faction of the current leadership.
The flag of the All Progressives Congress flowing at standard at the MTR House in Ibara, GRA, Abeokuta. Right inside the hall are elected chairmen from the 236 wards of the 20 local government areas in Ogun State, promising to deliver their best for the All Progressives Congress.
If you want to join this party, you start from your ward.
The state acting chairman, Yemi Sanusi, encourages the elected chairman to ensure unity among party members in their various wards.
I charge all these chairmen to open their door and window wide so that they should allow everybody to come in, and with that we can have enough energy and strength to face the 2023 election. And they should make sure they listen to the advice of their leaders. They do everything in their word in conjunction with the wish of the people.
Prior to this event, the chairman of the six-man Ward Congress Committee for the state had denied any parallel Congress. However, the present situation speaks volume.
The party gave a clear directive that anybody who tries that is an anti-party activity and it is null and void. So we never expected any reasonable and law-abiding party member to even ever think of a parallel Congress. So there was none anywhere.
With the swearing in now done with, what unfolds thereafter will determine the direction of the party ahead of the 2023 general elections.
Another group of All Progressives Congress in the state converged on the campaign office of former Governor Ibikuli Amosun in Abeokuta. At that event, another set of chairmen of the 236 wards were also inaugurated for the 20 local government areas of the state.
A sea of heads, all of them members of the All Progressives Congress in Ogun State. But their loyalty lies with the former governor of the state and currently a senator representing Ogun Central Senatorial District. The state APC broke into factions at the tail end of the governor's second term in office. This group is holding the Ward Congress, and the process is successfully undertaken. The winners are sworn in by the legal officer.
I bear true allegiance to the All Progressive Congress, APC, as the office.
And some advice from the chairman of the party, to the elected officers.
Continue to be law-abiding. Please, never fight them. Never fight them. They don't believe in the rule of law. We believe in rule of law. In line with the dictates of the party. In line with the belief of our leader, Senator Muslim. We believe in the rule of law.
He also speaks on tomorrow's local government congress.
Tomorrow is local government congress. We are going to elect your representatives at the local government level. Be up there. All those of you that are eligible to partake in that congress should endeavor to be there tomorrow and vote en masse for your candidates.
The All Progressives Congress is the ruling party in Ogun State today, and the unity of the party, if not undermined, may guarantee the success of the political party in the next governorship election.
Let's move on to Benue State now, where Governor Samuel Ortom today instituted the 60 billion naira suit against Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Senator George Akume, at the Makurdi High Court. Governor Ortom is seeking 50 billion naira as general damages for libel and 10 billion naira as exemplary and aggravated damages. In a statement of claim, Governor Ortom is seeking a declaration that the text of Senator Akume's press conference on August 30, 2021 in Abuja, and the reports in various national dailies is scandalous, malicious, and injurious of his person. Let's get more news now from Abuja studio. Gloria, great to see you, as always.
Thank you, Amarachi. Well, we'll begin with the Africa Development Bank announcing plans to support the establishment of special agro-industrial processing zones in Nigeria with the sum of $520 million. The project is a public-private partnership aimed at developing priority value chains through developing infrastructure in rural areas. It also focuses on finishing and transforming raw materials and commodities.
Nigeria's agricultural sector contributes a significant part of the country's gross domestic product. Between January and March 2021, the agricultural sector contributed 22.4% of the total GDP, an increase by almost 1% compared to the same period of 2020. In spite of its huge potentials, the agricultural sector is confronted with challenges of poor infrastructure and lack of mechanization. This narrative, however, may be experiencing a change as officials of the African Development Bank and other development organizations make commitments through the establishment of agro-processing zones.
As a flagship initiative under the bank's Feed Africa High Five, SAPZs are currently under implementation and preparation in 18 countries across the continent. Essentially, and as you saw from the curtain raiser video, they seek to develop priority value chains by agglomerating infrastructure in the rural areas and providing end-to-end solutions that will help de-risk production, processing, and marketing operations of private sector actors.
These words of assurance is enough motivation for governments to promise incentives to willing investors.
The SAPZs will also use existing infrastructure that are in place, such as roads, water, electricity, and facilitate the effectiveness of the zones in line with the existing brownfield concept. There will be a standard agreement between the federal government of Nigeria and the African Development Bank for attracting private sector funding and successful implementation of the project.
There seems to be an important nexus between what we're trying to do here and the backward integration project of the federal government. And I believe that we should also make sure that in going forward, I believe there should be a strong private sector participation in this project.
Kaduna, Kano, Kwara, Imo, Cross River, Ogun and Oyo states will be the first to participate in the first phase of the Special Agro-Processing Zone program. All the states that have expressed interest to participate in the program include Bauchi, Lagos, Niger, Jigawa, Ekiti.
The Kwara State Command of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, has intercepted a tanker loaded with petrol, illegally drawn from the NNPC pipeline at Laduba village in Asa local government area of Kwara State. They were said to have made an attempt to run away with the tanker, but the vehicle tumbled while the men took to their heels. The Kwara State NSCDC commandant added that the men equally attempted to vandalize the pipeline before they were intercepted.
Laduba, one of the 9 towns in Asa local government areas of Kwara State, Nigeria's north-central region. Security operatives of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps Kwara State Command lay ambush here in the wee hours. It pays off with this arrest.
The truck has actually been loaded with 33,000 liters. On sighting our men on patrol, the finders tried to escape and the truck overturned. We have been able to arrest the truck. The suspects are at large. We shall continue investigation and definitely we will go after them. We know through investigation we will get them arrested.
Petroleum Motor Spirit PMS drips out of the upturned 33,000-litre tanker.
I don't see them this morning. All of them, I don't already arrest all of them.
The Kwara State NSCDC boss warns that the command will leave nothing to chance in protecting critical national assets.
I'm warning all the funders to desist from this act because the law will soon catch up with them.
What matters now is the evacuation of products and removal of the truck to safety. Laduba residents want more arrests and intensification of security vigilance in the area.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Amara, for the rest of the news at 10.
Thanks a lot, Gloria. A leading lager brand in the southeast region, Life Continental Beer, today unveiled its new television commercial, Turugo Lota, an Igbo adage that translates to bring home the glory. According to the sales director at the Nigeria Breweries Limited, Uche Unigwe, the commercial is an affirmation of the painstaking aspirations of the Igbos, the industrial spirit to rise above all odds.
It's the official unveiling of the Life Continental Beer new television commercial, Turugo Lota, an Igbo adage that translates to bring home the glory.
Years ago, we had to start all over again.
Stakeholders of the company, brand ambassadors and other invited guests are all seated for the day's event.
This is the good news we are sharing today.
The sales director of the Nigeria Brewery speaks on the brand promise and the television commercial.
We are not only celebrating illustrious spirit of the East, we are telling all our friends that irrespective of background, culture, and race, we can go into the world, put the works in, and bring home the glory so that others can learn and become great through our success.
It's family structure, social structure.
The event hosted some of Nigeria's prominent personalities to a social discourse that highlights parental guidance, hard work, and discipline.
Like a loud gong of hope, our fathers never gave up, nor will.
The brand ambassadors promote the brand they now represent.
I drank a can of Life and decided to take another can before leaving the house. When I was done, I sat back to rest a little before stepping out. I dozed off in the process, and when I woke up, I made up my mind to spread the good news, which is there is life in every can of life.
For people who want to go out there in the evenings to drink, please drink life. I drink life. Enjoy responsibly, most importantly.
Other company officials share their excitement.
Celebrate, and if you don't want to celebrate, have an event. Remember somebody, but whatever you do, do it with life, because life is for progress and life stands for everything that epitomizes Ndibo as a people.
The joy of every single person, especially parents and guardians who entrust the wealth of their knowledge, their integrity and their resources to their wards, is really to send them forth so they can come back home with glory. And that is the essence of our activity, through Golota, which means bring home the glory.
Thank you so very much. Some of the guests were rewarded for their contribution in life as the company reiterates its commitment to providing the Eastern market and Nigeria at large with quality lager that kindles great taste and inspires fun moments.
Are you proud of the product?
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial star 894 hash now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Welcome to Business News. The Corporate Affairs Commission has moved to grant the Code of Conduct Bureau access to its database to investigate companies suspected to be carrying out illicit activities. The Registrar General of CAC, Mr. Garba Abubakar, made this known during a visit of the CCB Chairman, Professor Mohammed Isa, at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja. Mr. Abubakar further explained that the introduction of beneficial ownership disclosure would soon be extended to an open data format to allow investigators extract information on any company. And now to the local equities, where the bull ever so slightly sustained its positive run in the market as the all-share index rose by 0.02%. Ini John Mekwa tells us more.
Hello and welcome to the stock market report. Well, it was a close shave, seeing that the market was trading negative at intraday, but this week's trading session ends with a victory to the bull. Marginal, the market gained 4 billion naira and the market cap advanced slightly to settle at about 20.45 trillion naira. Deals were, however, much lower. Yesterday it was close to 4,000, but today it was only 3,158 deals, which took place with about 180 million units of shares valued at about 1.7 billion naira. Top advancers had Nimet and Transcorp, while Mutual Benefit was one of the top decliners for the day. Transcorp was also one of the top trades again this week. Over 20 million of its shares were traded today. A great way to end the week. Looking forward to more gains next week. As a stock market report, I'm Ini John Mekwa.
Thanks a lot, Ini. Let's take a look at the closing numbers for global markets. And that's Business News tonight. It's back to Amarachi for the rest of the news at 10.
Thanks a lot, Teniola. Thousands of Taliban fighters are taking on resistance forces in the last province holding out against the Islamist takeover in Afghanistan. Let's head over now to our London studios, where Simon Pusey has more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Police in New Zealand have shot and killed an extremist after he stabbed and wounded at least 6 people in Auckland in a supermarket. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said the incident was a terrorist attack carried out by a Sri Lankan national who was under police surveillance. Of the 6 wounded people, 3 are in a critical condition and 1 is in a serious condition. That's according to health officials. The man, who has not been identified, was a supporter of the Islamic State terrorist group. Ms. Arden said the police killed him within 60 seconds of the attack on Friday.
What happened today was despicable. It was hateful. It was wrong. It was carried out by an individual, not a faith, not a culture, not an ethnicity, but an individual person who was gripped by ideology that is not supported here by anyone or any community. He alone carries the responsibility for these acts. Let that be where the judgment falls.
The death toll of Hurricane Ida in the US Northeast has risen to at least 45 people as New York City and New Jersey saw unprecedented levels of rainfall leading to flooding. A witness filmed cars partially submerged in water in New Jersey. Drone footage also shows severely damaged homes and rooftops in Louisiana, where 1 million people have been left without power. Joe Biden has declared that a historic investment was needed to deal with the climate crisis. Thousands of Taliban fighters are taking on forces in the last province resisting the radical Islamist takeover. The National Resistance Front says it has pushed back a Taliban advance and controls all entrances to the Panjshir Valley. Senior Taliban leader Amir Khan Motaji has called on the residents of the Panjshir Valley to lay down their weapons, but they have refused to give up despite being entirely surrounded. Meanwhile, the Taliban are expected to announce who will be part of their government in the next few days. Japan's Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga has said he will not run for re-election as party leader this month, signalling the end of his tenure. Mr. Suga had been appointed to the role just a year ago following the resignation of Shinzo Abe. The shock announcement comes as Mr. Suga's approval ratings dropped to an all-time low. Japan, which is still under a state of emergency, is now grappling with its worst ever COVID wave. Nearly 4,500 people have fallen sick in the south of the Democratic Republic of Congo following a toxic leak from a diamond mine in neighbouring Angola. The Environment Minister Yves Bazaiba has said 12 people have died. She announced the Democratic Republic of Congo would ask for reparations for the damage caused, but did not specify an amount. There has been no response so far from the mining company. An Islamic State group suspect from the UK has pleaded guilty in a US court to multiple charges relating to the murder of 4 American hostages. Alexander Coty is accused of belonging to an IS cell dubbed the Beatles, which was involved in kidnappings in Iraq and Syria. The IS cell was allegedly responsible for the beheadings of a number of Western and Japanese hostages. Coty pleaded guilty to all 8 charges. North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un has called on his officials to deal with food supply issues and highlighted the danger of climate change. Typhoons have badly impacted vital crops last year, while weeks of drought followed by heavy monsoon rains have damaged them this year as well. Kim Jong-un said measures to overcome abnormal climate were needed and asked officials to tackle drought and floods. And finally, pop legends ABBA have surprised and delighted fans by announcing their first studio album for 40 years. ABBA Voyage will be released in November before a so-called revolutionary set of concerts where virtual avatars will play hits like Mamma Mia and Waterloo. The quartet, who split up in 1982, said they ended up back in the recording studio while working on the stage show. The first, I Still Have Faith in You, is an affectionate piano ballad portraying the bond between the 4 band members. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Nigeria's Super Eagles began their 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifier campaign with a 2-0 victory over the Lone Stars of Liberia at the Teslim Balogun Stadium this evening. Leicester City forward Kelechi Iheanacho was the hero as his 2 goals ensured Nigeria's 17 years unbeaten record against Liberia remained intact. FIFA has opened disciplinary proceedings in relation to incidents during the World Cup qualifier between Hungary and England in Budapest. Having heard from the match officials, FIFA vowed to take adequate actions after the 3 lines of England players were allegedly racially abused by Hungarian fans during the game played in Budapest. Paris 2024 CEO Etienne Tebois has praised Tokyo for its remarkable ability to pull off the Olympics amid the COVID-19 pandemic. He believes that the organizers of Paris will be ready to face whatever challenges come their way to deliver a successful Games come 2024. And world number one Novak Djokovic believes he is going in the right direction in his bid for a 21st major title that will complete a calendar year Grand Slam. The Serbian completely dominated his second-round opponent, Talon Grespor, to cruise into the third round and register his 77th victory at the US Open. And that's sports news.
Thanks, Ayotunde. And the main news again. The Drug Law Enforcement Agency chairman, Buba Marwa, has warned against legalizing cannabis, saying Nigeria is the world's highest consumer. Plus, the Civil Defense Corps has expressed concern over the spate of attacks on the nation's assets. The Corps said schools and transport infrastructure are among the worst hit. That is the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night. Have a lovely weekend.